You could say that Margaret Coel is living the dream, and you'd be right.
I always wanted to be an author. I wanted to be a writer from the time I learned to read. I loved stories. I loved living in the world of stories. And I wanted to be the one who wrote the stories. I got a degree in journalism thinking that, at least I can write. Maybe somebody will pay me to write. And they did, and that's how I started out, as a newspaper reporter. It was a fabulous training ground. I just covered, the whole county. And boy, was that good training. I learned how to do research. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to go out and get the story and write it up and, get it in by deadline. So it was fabulous training.
Chief Left Hand was her first book, and it didn't start out to be a book at all.
I'm a native of Colorado. I'm a fourth generation Coloradan, and I grew up on all the old stories of our place. And among those stories were stories of the people who had lived here before my family and everybody else came here. So I became very, very interested in them. I mean, from the time I was a child, I always wanted to know who were these people and where did they live and what happened to them. So, when you pick up a little string, you start following it, you don't know where it's going to lead you, but that's what I did. And it led me to this chief, Left Hand, one of their Arapaho leaders in the mid-1800s, and I started out to write a magazine article on him. I just kept working on it, and I had been researching for about 2 years, and I realized I know all this history about the Arapaho people. I have never actually met an Arapaho. I started going to the reservation when I was researching Chief Left Hand, and lo and behold, I just started doing research and more research and more research, and I ended up with a book.
Margaret's first novel, Eagle Catcher, came after she had written 4 nonfiction books, including Goin' Railroading with her father.
When I decided to write a novel, which, for a writer, for me, a novel was almost like Mount Everest if you're a climber. It's there and you want to do it. You want to see if you could do it. And I didn't know if I could write a novel. I didn't know if I could make up the whole story. But I really wanted to try. And I got the idea. I had written Chief Left Hand, and I had spent a lot of time on the Wind River Reservation with the Arapahos. I knew a lot of the people. I'd done all this research on them. And so I thought I could write a novel, and it's going to be a mystery novel. And at the time, I had already published 4 nonfiction books and lots of articles, magazine articles, newspaper articles. And I thought, well, how hard can it be to write a novel? Well, I found out, because they are 2 different crafts. That's one of the lovely, lovely things about being a writer, and that is that you can always hone your craft. There's always more to learn, more to do, and all kinds of different things, ways in which you can go. So I had to learn how to write fiction. I took myself off to the University of Colorado to a continuing education class on how to write a novel. And I remember walking across that campus in the evenings, going to that class and thinking, I don't know if I can do this. Is hard. I don't know if I can do this. And to this day, and I've written 22 novels, I will be composing on my computer, and I will look at what I've just written, and I will say, boy, is that boring. And the reason it's boring, I realize, is because I'm telling. I'm not showing.
When she wrote Eagle Catcher, Margaret created lawyer Vicky Holden and Father John O'Malley, the mainstays in all of her Wind River mysteries. For those who may wonder, they're not based on real people she has known.
I call them my dream people. I just kind of dreamed them up. But it's amazing how when you create characters, how many people will come to you and say, oh, I know who you modeled that after. So they tell me, that they are modeled after people they know on the reservation. But, who knows what you do subconsciously? You meet people and you take bits of this person, and you're always taking a lot of yourself to put into a character.
After so many Wind River mysteries, Margaret understandably is a person of honor among the Arapaho and on the Wind River Reservation.
They honored me once after the Eagle Catcher came out. And then they had, just a few years ago, another ceremony, which was just absolutely wonderful. They had, the drummers were there, the dancers were there, the elders spoke, and they prayed for me in Arapaho. It was so wonderful. And one of the gifts they gave me was a Pendleton blanket. And when they give you a blanket, they don't just hand you a folded blanket. They have a little ceremony where they wrap you in the blanket, and they pray. And the prayer is that you will always be warm and you will always have shelter.
Other writers may wonder about Margaret's writing routine. She says she learned early on to use what might be called the continuously productive approach.
I have a year in which to write a novel. It really takes me about six months, but that's just the first draft. And I spend a lot of time on rewrites. I'm of the school that believes that writing is rewriting. And then what I do is I write all the way through. I write from page 1 to page 350, whatever it is. I write till I'm done. And if I come across something that I really don't know, which is frequent, and that I know I have to do more research on, I have to learn more details, I don't stop and go do the research. I just put a note to myself, you've got to figure out what this is all about. And I write on. And I think in doing that, a lot of the excitement that you have for the story and the energy that you have goes right into the story. When I wrote my first novel, The Eagle Catcher, I didn't do it that way. And what I did was I tried to write a perfect paragraph, and then I reworked it and reworked it and reworked it, making it perfect, even, more perfect, if you could say that. And I did that for about the first third of the novel, and then I realized this is dumb. I just need to stay with the story. I need to write the story, which I did. When that novel came out, so many of the reviewers said, well, it's a little slow getting started, but once it takes off, it really goes.
Margaret has been a member of the Colorado Authors League for 35 years, which makes receiving Cal's Lifetime Achievement Award an even bigger thrill for her.
I just think the best award, the most wonderful award, is an award from your peers. And to receive an award from the Colorado Authors League, which has always been like my home throughout my whole writing career, and the people in the league who have become my friends over the years and have been such a tremendous support and have helped me in so many ways through advice and just guiding me along the way, and even when I was first starting to write novels, reading my manuscripts and commenting and critiquing them for me. I mean, it's just this amazing organization that I feel has supported me and helped me so much. To receive an award from them is just absolutely wonderful.